This is the Lenovo Yoga 9i Pro 16-inch model. Lenovo sent this over for me to review. This laptop is probably the nicest laptop I've ever used in my entire life. Not necessarily the best, because that's subjective. I mean, if you want more power, you're going to go with a 4090 or whatever, or portability, you're going to get a 13-inch. But it's definitely the nicest laptop I've ever used in my entire life. This is quite an impressive laptop, definitely geared towards professionals and professionals who want to get work done. It has a gigantic screen, 16 by 10 aspect ratio, 16-inch screen. This is the highest end screen spec that they have. It's a 3.2K screen, so very, very high resolution. It's also a touch screen, as you can see here. Glossy, so it does have some reflectivity, but colors are incredibly vivid. It's a 1200 nit screen, so very, very bright. They also offer a 400 nit screen, and they offer both of those screens in touch versus non-touch. They offer an IPS screen, which is the 400 nit. Then they also offer the mini LED option. The mini LED option is going to be really nice. You're going to pay more for it, but the mini LED is going to have significantly higher contrast ratio. So you're going to get incredibly deep blacks on this screen here, and then you're going to also get very vivid colors. This is designed as a professional creator style laptop, or any professional. It also has very good color range as well. 100% P3, 100% Adobe RGB, and 100% sRGB. So it's basically a creator laptop. If you're going to be doing color reproduction type work, you have great color range on the screen, very bright 1200 nits, good contrast ratio, still 165 hertz refresh rate too. This is probably the nicest screen on a laptop I've ever used in my entire life. This is a 13905H processor, very, very high-end processor, but again, you can ship it with the i7 if you want. There's 3 GPU options this year. You can get the 4050, which is in here. You can get a 4060 or 4070. The 4050 is going to be more than enough for professionals, to be honest. You get 6 gigabytes of VRAM, and it will help you quite a bit when it comes to like video exporting, that kind of thing. You can leverage those NVIDIA graphics to get actually considerably better performance. So the 4050 is probably going to be enough for people who are just doing video editing. Jumping to the 4060 is not a bad idea though, because you do get an extra 2 gigabytes of VRAM, which can be beneficial if you're playing games. I think for a lot of people, the sweet spot on this laptop is actually going to be the i9 processor, obviously, and then I would jump up to the 4060 base graphics. So there's a pretty considerable jump from 4050 to 4060. You're going to be getting 2 more gigabytes of VRAM, better memory bus and bandwidth as well. So it is a better GPU. So going from 4050 to 4060, probably worth it. 4060 to 4070, unless the price is not really that much of a difference, you're only getting a 5 to 10% improvement between a 4060 and a 4070. I'm going to be going over everything about this laptop: touchpad, keyboard, screen, audio. I'm going to open it up and have a look inside, see what kind of upgradability we have in this laptop. I'm also going to be testing gaming as well. So I'm going to throw some pretty demanding games at it, just a few this time, and really see how this does perform in gaming. Of course, I'm going to be doing my benchmarks, and I'm going to be doing some video editing. I'll do video editing for this video on this laptop. So here it is, the Lenovo 9i that was sent to me for review. This does have RTX graphics. It has an RTX 4050. I think there's other options you can get. So you're going to get the proprietary Lenovo charger because it needs more wattage. 170 watts, but it's thin for a 170 watt charger. Oh, it's nice and big. So you get the literature there. Again, this is a 16-inch laptop, so it's not a ultra super light, but it is pretty thin. It's a pretty thin laptop there. And that transfers all the way to the back. So you can see, there's a little bit of tapering in that too, but the thickness of the laptop is more or less all the same all the way back. So it's not light by any means. I'll put the actual weight up on the screen, but it's not a light laptop. However, for the size, it's not heavy. I put this at just shy of 5 pounds on the hand. 4.5 pounds is basically where I put it at, maybe 5 at most. Not super heavy, not like a gaming laptop. Those can get up to like 6 pounds or whatever, but it's certainly not a super light laptop. Very refined though. It's all the metal, gunmetal, some nice accents there. Like it's got this kind of camera bump out here with some shiny stuff on it, similar to the ThinkPad Z13 that I reviewed last year. And then the bottom, all metal as well. Big open grill there for air to come in. Speakers here, feet to offset, and you can see it's like a molded kind of foot there. It's not just like a thing plunked down. So the actual shell itself is actually molded to that. So very, very refined, very fine. So that's your power in there. USB-A, HDMI out. That should support 4K 60. We'll put up the spec on the screen there. Your first USB-C there. I believe this is the Thunderbolt port. I'll have to check again. I'll put them on the screen. So that'll support power delivery and all that kind of stuff. Thunderbolt, combo headphone, microphone jack. Nothing on the back other than your air is going to come out there. So it's going to sneak underneath. Right side there, microphone, camera kill switch, some kind of, is that a speaker output there? We'll have to see. That might actually be a speaker output on both sides. I didn't notice that. If you can see it on camera, it's kind of hard to see. But there might be, there's the speakers down here, and there might be a second outlet for the speakers there. Anyways, So power there, full-size SD card, because this is a professional style laptop. So most people, you're gonna go out with your high-end camera, you're gonna snap pictures, and you can just pop them in there and do work on the go. So it's it's a professional-based device. And your second USB port. So you only get one USB-C. Okay, let's have a quick look at Lenovo Vantage while I update the drivers. So let's see what we have for settings here. So if we come into power here, I do this in all my videos. One of the important things here is you have conservation mode. If you can leave your battery charged in, if you can leave your charger plugged in all the time, the battery will only charge up to 75 or 80%, which can help prolong the life of the battery. If you're taking it to go all the time, you don't have to use that, but that's specifically what that's for there. Let's see what else we have here. System update, you're gonna wanna do updates here in the beginning. It will also supply things like BIOS and specific drivers that Windows might necessarily not. You have your different cooling modes here, your performance modes. You can do this via function Q, or you can just do it here. So this is balanced. It's basically, it'll ramp up when it needs to or cool when it doesn't. But it kind of limits the wattage a bit. Good for, mixed use. Battery saving, you can see there, it will obviously save battery. It lowers the clock speeds and that and the wattages, so you're gonna get a better battery life. And then extreme performance is gonna basically give you max performance. If you're doing some heavy gaming, you may wanna be in that, or heavy video editing, whatever, extreme performance. But typically, if you're just messing about, you're probably gonna be in intelligent. I'll leave it on performance for now, because what? Okay, and then we have this down here under settings, X power, they call it now, GPU overclocking. I find this actually really neat because last year's models typically didn't have overclock capabilities. I don't know if they just came pre-overclocked or what it was, but they just didn't have settings like this. Yeah, so we can turn it on, which I'm going to do obviously. GPU overclock, looks like we can add 500 megahertz, which is actually a lot, 1665. So it's actually adding quite a bit. And then the video memory overclock as well, 500. Wow, that's more than I thought. So you're getting 500 and 500. That actually will make a big difference on a 4050. Okay, let's do a typing test here. I'm gonna probably love this keyboard. It looks like the Legion Slim keyboard, but let's test it out. Yep, so 10 out of 10. I mean, it was pretty much bound to be a 10 out of 10. I'm used to Lenovo keyboards. I'm used to the Lenovo Legion keyboards. This is basically identical to the Lenovo Legion keyboards, specifically the Slim model. So the Slim 5, Slim 7, same keycap, same travel. The keys have a lot of travel, actually a lot of travel. The keycaps are a little bit smaller than like a Lenovo Legion 7i Pro or 5 Pro or whatever. Those keycaps themselves are a tiny bit larger. So this is like this. Those keycaps are like that. The travel is identical, layout's identical. This texture of this is identical to the Lenovo Legion 7i Slim for 2022, 2023, and the Lenovo Legion 7 for 2023. Trackpad is huge, like massive. It's a glass trackpad, so it feels superb. Like this is nice and smooth. Then you come on here, it's even more smooth. Very, very smooth, super responsive. Lenovo makes excellent trackpads. They're very responsive. You don't have any like wobble, I'd call it. You feel very confident in it. This is the largest trackpad I've ever seen. I don't actually know why people need such massive trackpads, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a huge trackpad. So I mean, you're typing, you just bring your hand down anywhere. And I mean, you have access to this thing. Like you're not going to be missing the trackpad. It's like half the laptop. So it's huge. And the palm rejection is great. Like, if I'm typing, you can see the trackpad, the mouse thingy moved away. And then I go like that and it comes back. So perfect palm rejection. I just find, generally speaking, Lenovo makes good trackpads. So the keyboard does have built-in, I wouldn't call it RGB, but it has lighting. So you go like that and you turn on your lighting. You can turn it off the same way. So off, auto. I guess auto will get bright depending on how bright the room is. And because it's a super bright room, it looks like it's off. Okay. Ooh, okay. This is going to be good. You can hear there's a lot of bass. Holy smokes. Let's turn it up. Ooh, holy smokes. I'm going to turn it up loud. There's a lot of bass there. So this is the best speakers on a laptop that exists, that I've ever touched. And if you don't believe me, go into a Best Buy and test one of these things out. Even if it's blazingly loud in the Best Buy, I bet you're going to be blown away by those speakers. The amount of clarity from, you know, the high range, no tinniness, all the way down to that bass. There's bass on this. Like, I'm going to do it again. Just watch your headphones. Like, I'm talking actual bass.
He opens a door that leads to another room with a crib and there's a doll inside? Then who was crying? Little side note, I love how there are pictures and frames all over the place.
Just love that moment. Anyways, yeah, it sounds great. So if you're doing video calls, listening to, you know, spoken-based videos, it sounds super crisp, loud. There's no like weird hollowness to the voice. It sounds okay. I'm gonna do this next part in the brightness. It's gonna be a screen test. In the dark room, this is going to look even better, but I want to do this in a bright room. A Legion Slim 7i, and it had a beautiful screen too, but it wasn't a mini LED. It was an IPS screen. It wasn't glossy, so the blacks weren't as good. This is incredible. It's almost OLED blacks, like not quite, but almost OLED blacks, but you don't have the risk of an OLED. And then the colors are incredibly vibrant. Again, this is a professional laptop. Oh yeah, that's very nice. It's also very bright. Like very, very, very bright. But the colors are quite beautiful. I love glossy screens because of the colors, but they have to be accurate screens. So this is a color accurate, yet also bright and colorful screen with good color range. So you have good color range, you have good color accuracy, calibrated, and then you have bright, and then you have mini LED, and then you have glossy. So it just combines into a beautiful, beautiful screen. It looks better in person. My iPhone's not going to pick up the range. My eyes have more range than an iPhone, and it looks better to me. Yeah, very, very, very lovely screen. So I mean, if you're, oh my God. So if you're doing like gaming, I mean, it's going to be a beautiful screen. But if you're doing media consumption or media creation, it's really going to be something else. Okay, here's a test of the built-in webcam. I'm in a pretty bright room, nothing crazy. Moderate light on the front, moderate on the back. We'll see how it sounds, but the camera looks really nice actually. There's no like, I don't know, trailers or like wobbliness. It looks actually quite nice. So obviously if you're doing meeting, I mean, it's a professional laptop, it's a very high-end laptop. So if you're doing professional work and professional meetings, you're not going to want to have to attach, you know, like a second webcam or something to the side to get some good video. So it's really nice actually. So screws are out, they're all the same size, so there's no worry about having the wrong screws. It's a very smooth chassis. Let's zoom out a bit here. Very smooth chassis here. So it's going to be hard to get like a, again, it's not my laptop, so I don't want to break it. But let's see inside. Go this way. So nice, firm metal. Thermal pads there, which sits on the missing NVMe. Thermal pad there, which sits on the populated NVMe. Thermal pad there, which sits on that chip, whatever that is. And then you get some support brackets. Okay, and there's a look inside the laptop. So, I mean, it looks great. Huge speakers. The same layout as the Legion 7 style, the Legion 7 Pro, 7i Pro that I had. But they look a little bit more meaty, so I think that's why. These are very premium, very, very premium speakers there. So that's that. Huge battery, so we get a 75 watt-hour battery. You know, they could put more, but there's a spot for an NVMe, so I'm happy they didn't. 72 watt-hours, 75 watt-hours is going to be enough. Dual fan, so we have probably CPU, GPU, or whichever, same size fans on both cases. Pretty well designed, so you get triple heat pipe out there. It's going to move heat out really effectively. You get a heat pipe here on some of the VRMs and the memory. Memory's under here, it's soldered, 32 gigabytes in this case. So this is all being cooled via this cooling solution. The GPU isn't very hot. A 4050 is not going to get hot. So I suspect that this shouldn't run super spicy. Okay, so in terms of upgradability, like I said, the RAM is soldered, so you can upgrade it. First NVMe is populated here. I'll bring that up and I'll do like an actual benchmark, so we'll see what it is. I don't want to take it out and put that metal thing off, but yeah, there's a first NVMe there. You do have second NVMe over here. So you're going to want to spec this out with the RAM that you want to get from Lenovo. I'm not sure if they offer different specs, but get the RAM that you want. So 32 gigabytes for most people is going to be fine. I wouldn't go lower, not on a premium laptop like this. So the first NVMe there, and it's nice to have a second slot over here. It looks like you could put in a 2240 size, so you just basically move this whole little bracket over here. So not a ton of expandability, but the biggest thing is second NVMe. RAM is going to be soldered, unfortunately, but it's a slim laptop and it's going to be fast RAMs. Wi-Fi chip is under this little tiny thing. Let's zoom in there. That's a tiny little Wi-Fi chip right there. I can see the aerials. I can see the antennas here coming out of it. So we have the two antennas. So that's just a tiny little Very rigid. I mean, it has all these support brackets here. Very, very well built. There's nothing cheap in here that screams, like low quality. So you're gonna be confident. I mean, it has an all metal chassis, but even the internals are reinforced with these like bracket type things. So you're gonna get no flex or anything. So great internals for what it is, to be honest. Here's a look at the included NVMe. It's 1 terabyte on this model here. So it's got this OEM label here, MZVL, etc. The actual name of this is a PM9A1 NVMe. It's actually a very, very high-end drive, more or less equivalent to a Samsung 980 Pro. So you're going to be getting extremely good speeds out of this drive. It's got a DRAM cache. It's TLC, so perfect for an operating system, for video editing, that kind of. Here's a look at the 3D Mark TimeSpy score. We're getting actually pretty good scores here. The CPU is 13123. This one here has a graphics score of 8,419. That's actually very good for a 4050. I didn't anticipate it would be that good, but is doing very well, obviously. So the graphics are very viable. You can see that the CPU gets a little bit warm. And if we jump over to the GPU, no issues with the GPU getting warm. It's just a 4050. The cooling solution will keep the GPU cool. And here's a look at the battery life. This system doesn't have very good battery life, to be honest. So the first clip here is basically I'm just watching YouTube. I'm at 50% brightness, better battery life, and the screen's at 50% brightness. I'm not doing anything else. And you can see here, I'm watching a YouTube video, and it's estimating about 2 hours and 15 minutes on at 90%, so maybe 2.5 hours. You can actually see the power draw there. It's minus 35 watts. Then you can see here I lowered the refresh rate down to 60 hertz, so coming from 165 down to 60 hertz. Everything else is the same otherwise. And you can see here I'm watching the same video and everything. And the estimate did go up a little bit. Again, Windows is whether that's accurate or not. And our charge rate is now at negative 26. Again, it goes up and down slightly, but it sits around negative 25, negative 26 or so. So that's how many watts we're using. So again, not the best battery life. If you're just watching YouTube at half brightness on best power efficiency, with full charge, you might get 3 hours. It's going to be basically sub 3 hours. Once you start actually using this laptop, doing some stuff, even on 60 hertz refresh rate, I mean, you're not going to be getting 3 hours. We'll put it that way. Put in a 1 gigabyte video file here. Let's see how fast the video is processed here. Well, done instantly. Doing some video stuff, so that was really quick. Let's do another one. We'll bring this in. This is just shy of a gigabyte, 811 megabytes. Video's done. Audio's done. Very, very, very fast. Now we'll just do a test export. It's not done yet, but I'll just pretend that I'm done. So we'll come in here. We'll do 1080p 60, which is my standard. And then we will just output there. Enable the NVIDIA fast encoding, and we'll just see how quick it goes. Okay, wow, I can tell it's already going to be really fast. We'll come back when it's done. But okay, and there we go. That was incredibly fast. 2 minutes and 20 minutes and 26 seconds for a 24-minute video, 1080p 60 FPS. Very, very fast. Yeah, very, very fast. So the i9 paired with the 4050 with studio graphics and a nice thick chassis that doesn't get too hot. Obviously quite effective. Okay, now we'll do some game testing. Again, I'm going to do this, I say this in all my videos, externally for this part because I want people to see what I'm seeing and hear what I'm hearing. So we'll come in here and we'll play with the settings, but let's see what we're at here to start. So we're at Ultra. Obviously I have ray tracing off, and I just turned this SSAO down from the other one, so it's at Ultra, you can see there. And the display is 3.2K. It's actually doing better than I thought. Yes, this is native. Wow, okay. This is quite a bit more pixels than even a 1600p screen, and way more than a 1080p screen or 1200p. And yeah, I'm recording this back here so you can actually see the performance. Let's listen to the noise here. About 50 dB or so not bad, to be honest. But let's get set up here again and actually start playing. So this is Ultra. I mean, it's just a 4050. I did overclock it just with Vantage, nothing fancy, just whatever it does. And it's actually doing very well. The lows are 33, 0.1% lows, 52 on the 1% lows, and 80 on, almost 80 on average. That's better than I thought. But what I do want to do is try the performance mode. So we're going to go with balanced. You'll see the wattage drop down. Wattage went down, and the fans are very quiet now, and you can see the performance is still really good. So in my recent Legion 7i Slim video, I talk about this like a lot. The fact that the 4000 series, a lot of people pan it for being, oh, the raw performance at 150 watts is not that great over last gen, which is true. I mean, it's not a huge uplift that way. But what is a huge uplift is that you don't need that kind of power. You can get away with tiny wattages, like 53 watts, and now we're at 104 on average. 43 as the lows. Such good performance. Incredibly good performance. Let's see what we can get on balanced mode or intelligent cooling with DLSS. Yeah, I mean, rock solid performance. So, I mean, obviously you can game. This is the game ready drivers. So of course you could, if you're on studio drivers, you'll get a little bit of a performance hit, but it's not going to be. Okay, here we are in Hogwarts Legacy. I have decreased the resolution of the screen to 1600p, which is more reasonable, equivalent to 1440p. 3.2K is not doable for this GPU. Like any laptop, it's going to be very demanding in this title. So anyways, so we're on medium here. 1600p native. I'm going to turn TAA down a bit because we don't need it that high. And that's it. We'll just try native. Actually, we're just around 60. Let's see what the lows are. If we can maintain the lows, then I'm going to be happy, basically. Because usually they tank quite a bit in Hogsmeade here, but we'll see. Oh, it's actually running really well, to be honest. 1600p native. This game is very ambitious. So, I mean, running it on a 4050, 1600p medium is actually impressive. If you've played the game, you'll know that it can really obliterate a lot of different GPUs. So we'll go DLSS. We're not going to need that high. We'll just go with DLSS quality. This should get us well above 60, and hopefully the lows come up a bit. Yeah, so you can see here we're at 80-ish, 85, whatever. Quite good on medium, or 1600p with a little bit of DLSS. And yeah, you get that little drop down. That like micro hitch, 0.1% lows, because it's only every now and then when you load in somewhere, it's not game breaking. If it kept doing it, it would drive me nuts. But like I saw it once when I came down the stairs, and then it hasn't done it since. Let's see what balance mode gets us here. Or intelligent cooling, I call it balanced. Again, the performance scaling on these GPUs, these 4000 series GPUs, is quite good. There's some asset loading again. Saw that drop down there. So the noise meter back here is pretty low. And that's with like the music playing. So considerably quieter with, balance mode. Ultra textures, ultra models, and everything else on medium. And it just looks better, I think, this way than, going all medium. And it runs better than going all ultra. Like this game would run pretty bad on all ultra. So there's that quick low drop. Don't concern yourself with that too much because it's very periodic when we're loading in a new corner. I wish it didn't, but I mean, that's just the nature of this game. Okay, now we're in Resident Evil 4. Let's check the settings here. Nonsense. We'll go with 3 here. So now our VRAM, we allocate it even a little bit more. So medium-ish settings, and I have the textures or whatever, the graphics up to 3, so high, 3 gigabytes. And it looks great, 1600p. We're not going to go with the 3.2K, it's going to be too much. But you can see here it's running quite well, actually. 0.1% lows at 44. Intelligent cooling, balance mode, whatever. Such a decrease in the sound, but the performance only goes down by like, what did we lose, 6 FPS? Something like that. And it's like nearly quiet, as far as I can tell. So we're going to go quality FSR, just the lightest. This will bring us up, way above 60. Our lows, yeah, I mean, again, you don't need it, but you can if you want. If you're on 3.2K and you want to run this at the native resolution, you're going to need scaling. But, you'll probably throw on balance or something, but this is the way to go. 1600p, just throw on some FSR here. The audio is potentially the best I've ever seen on a laptop, or heard on a laptop in my entire life. Incredibly good audio. Amazing keyboard, really, really nice keyboard. Huge, gigantic trackpad. The performance is actually really good. That i9 processor is very high performance, obviously. The 4050 is performing better than I thought, so obviously the drivers on that have matured a bit since I last tested a 4050 laptop, because it's actually performing quite well in gaming. I put on the studio drivers and I did video editing. It was impressively fast how quickly it performed that 25-minute video export, 1080p, 60 FPS. It did it in like 2 or 3 minutes. That was very impressive. So the performance of the laptop is incredible. The screen is incredible. The build, you know, it's not a light laptop. You know, it's not going to be super, super light, but it's no heavier than, you know, the MacBook Pro variant of it, you know, 4-ish pounds. It is pretty thin, right? It's a pretty thin laptop despite being big. So it is good. I mean, it's great. It actually does pretty good for gaming overall. It's not a gaming laptop, but obviously you can game on it with no problem. From a professional standpoint, this is an absolute winner. Beautiful screen, great audio. It's a joy to work on this laptop. Everything is really snappy. The only negative, I would say, the battery life isn't great. I mean, that's kind of the downside if you get an Intel-based laptop. Intel laptops just don't have as good battery life. A little bit of it's not as big an issue with this because it's not a super portable, like 13-inch laptop that you're going to be, you know, tossing in a bag and then taking it out and doing, you know, that kind of thing. It's more of a mobile workstation for professional work. You're probably going to have access to a charger. You're going to take it, sit down in a coffee shop or a meeting or wherever you got to go, use it for a while, and then you're probably going to plug it in because you're still going to get 2.5 or 3 hours of, you know, work out of the laptop. I do wish they also offered an AMD model, so like a Yoga 9, just normal, not 9i. That would be nice to, you know, have two options because some people would favor raw performance, some people would favor battery life more. It's nice to give people that option, but I think this is compelling. I'm not 100% sure what the price is. I do not see this on the Canadian or the American website right now. It's probably going to be pretty expensive, but this is going up against lineups like the Asus OLED laptop. If you look at those Asus, I think they're called like ProArt OLED laptops. They're also very expensive. In Canadian dollars, like $3,500, $4,000 if you're getting dedicated graphics. So they're also very expensive. They're OLED. OLEDs are beautiful. I prefer mini LED because you get all the benefits of OLED with none of the negatives, risks of burn-in, but those are also really nice laptops. I've actually have a Asus ZenBook OLED laptop review coming out soon. I actually tested one and they're also really nice. But I think this is, I mean, for a lot of people, this is going to be the way to go. I mean, if you're looking for a professional laptop, basically a Halo tier professional laptop for doing, you know, video editing and productivity work. And if you don't need the super portable, you want something that you can sit down and get serious work done on a large screen, I think it's pretty compelling. You're going to be paying a fair bit for it, but if you want the best, I mean, where else are you going to go? This is probably it.